My name is Edwina James, and this channel was created to help you become the best version of yourself as a lady. As the name implies, an intentional lady. It helps you live intentionally in all aspects of your life, including your financial life, relationship, mindset, purpose, personal grooming, and development. In fact, we're going to cover a whole lot. So if you are all about living to your fullest potential, living your best life as a lady, then this space was created just for you. So stick around, we're going to be doing a lot and having a lot of fun here. So before we begin to talk about what intentional living entails, let's talk about what it is not. Because a lot of people mistake some things for being intentional about your life. They feel like if they are this or that, then they can be intentional. And the first one is perfectionism. They feel like their life should be a certain way before they can be intentional. Oh, until I have this amount of money, until my life is this way, until I'm doing this, then I can't be intentional about my life. But that's a lie. In fact, it's the decisions you make now, it's the things you do now that actually moves you towards that life you envision. So you don't wait to get there before you begin to take your life seriously. You start now to begin to take your life seriously. And it's the choices you make now that pushes you towards that life you envision. The second one is busyness. A lot of people mistake busyness for being intentional. So they are here today, they are there tomorrow, they are doing this, doing that. They're just trying to be busy, thinking it equates productivity. But business is not productivity. Business is not intentional. In fact, you can be busy doing the wrong thing. And that is the most destructive and counterproductive aspect of business. So ensure that even if you are doing something, you're not just being overly busy because you want to show people that you are doing something, you are moving. You can be moving, but actually not making progress. So intentional living is not about you being busy. In fact, it even entails that you have some time to rest, you have some time to reflect, you have some time to enjoy the beauty of what life is. So intentional living is not perfectionism and it's not business. Of course, there are other things, but for now, I think these are the two most common misconceptions ladies think intentional living is about. So now we've talked about what intentional living is not. Let's talk about what intentional living is as a lady. And the first point I have here is intentional living is intentional thinking. Of course, your thoughts bet your actions. Your actions come from your thoughts. You do something because you thought about it. You hardly find yourself doing something you've not thought about, except you've been controlled by someone. So intentional living means, first of all, taking control and taking charge of your thoughts. Those thoughts you think, those beliefs you have around certain issues, those things you can kill for. Have you seen some people arguing? They argue like they were there when that concept was birthed. So have you asked yourself that these things that I hold so dearly, these thoughts, these beliefs I hold so dearly, that they even shape my decisions, where did I get them from? Where did I get my thoughts about finance from? Where did I get my thoughts about relationship, about marriage from? Where did I get my thoughts about my life, my purpose, destiny, timelines? Where did I get it from? Did I get it from family expectations, society, or something that was just handed over to me, or maybe just a random video you saw? Where did you get that from? Where did that belief form from? Because until you can get the root of that belief, you can't uproot that thought. So intentional living starts with intentional thinking. Like, we've entered a new year and a lot of people have written goals, expectations, resolutions, and they have the view that this year will be better than next year. But until you confront that thought, my dear lady, this year will just repeat the same cycles you've been running away from. So take some time today to sit down with yourself. Write down some belief systems you have concerning different aspects of your life and question yourself. Is this belief true, and where did I get it from? The second aspect of intentional living is intentional choices. Like I said, your thinking bets your actions, right? So those actions you take, those choices you make, those decisions you make, where are they gotten from? Are they gotten out of pressure? Do you do things because everyone is doing them? Do you do things because this is what they expect from you, or do you do things because this is what you want and this is what is moving your life forward, even if it doesn't make sense to anybody else? So that is intentional living. One aspect of intentional living is intentional choices. And this is closely related to the first one we talked about, intentional thinking, because until your thoughts are aligned with who you truly are, you will keep on betting the wrong choices. And like we know, your decision is what makes up your life. In other words, we can say that the sum total of your life right now is based on the decisions you've been making for the past months, for the past years. And if your thinking is faulty, your decisions will be faulty, and obviously your life would be. So ensure that the choices you make daily are aligned with where you are going, not based on people's expectations. The third aspect of intentional living is emotional intelligence, emotional stability. Yes, we hear things that as a lady we are emotional beings. So some ladies take that as an excuse for misbehavior or misconduct. But if someone that's truly intelligent knows that since this aspect is a very important aspect of my life, and sometimes I can do things that don't really align with who I am just because my emotions are controlling me, it's just wise that you intentionally discipline yourself, understand your emotions, know that not everything demands a reaction from you. Sometimes it just demands silence. Sometimes it demands you to respond. Yes, there's a difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is when you are doing it out of impulse. You didn't think before you made that action. You didn't think before you made that statement. You just followed your feelings and you did something. But responding, you sit down, you think, you ensure that the answer you are giving or the response you are giving to that situation at that time is emotionally intelligent based on the situation, based on the particular situation. So, as a lady, one aspect of intentional living is emotional intelligence, emotional maturity. You understand your emotions, you understand how to respond to every situation based on the level of the person speaking. You don't have to respond to everyone the same way. You understand the person's emotions and you understand your own emotions and you understand how to communicate your emotions in that situation and not just spill them around just because you are an emotional being or just because you feel a certain way at that time. The fourth aspect of intentional living is intentional relationships. This is not just about romantic relationships. This is relationships with your friends, your peers, your mentors, your mentees, your parents, people around your life. How do you choose your friends? How do you choose your circle? Because there's a saying that says, show me your friends and I will tell you who you are. Some people have said that is a lie because you can have friends that are wayward and you are not wayward. But that is true to an extent. Because when you want to make decisions about your life, certain decisions, who do you go to? After God, you go to the people close around you. You get their opinions. You get their mindset, their thoughts before you conclude on the decision to make. So just imagine the people around you are people who are not being intentional about their lives. They're just living anyhow. They're just living every day as it goes by. There's no vision, there's no plan, there's no discipline, nothing. And those are the people you consult to make decisions about your life. That is why choosing your relationships is very important to the quality of your life. If you choose wrong relationships, it can be detrimental to the outputs of your life. So as an intentional lady, you choose relationship based on values. What are your values? What are the things that you can't compromise on, your non-negotiables in life? And the last aspect of intentional living is intentional daily living. Okay, this kind of sounds too jam-packed, but I'm going to unpack it, right? So intentional daily living means being intentional about every aspect. I feel like this particular point carries every other point. Because if you're intentional about your daily living, you'll be intentional about the way you speak, the way you dress, the way you relate with people, your time. What do you use your time for? How do you spend your time? How do you spend your money? How do you manage your money? You need to be intentional about this aspect. So this is what this channel is about. It's about intentional living in every aspect of your life. We're going to be having conversations around finances, conversations about relationships, health, physical grooming, physical appearance, purpose, clarity. In fact, it's going to be value packed. We're going to be inviting industry leaders as people who are top in their field or doing great things in their field to come enlighten us about certain aspects we should know so we can live a life that is truly aligned with who we are. So if you're a young lady who is intentional or who is about being the best version of himself, this channel was created for you. So stick around. I promise you it's going to be a beautiful ride. Do well to like, do well to subscribe so you get a notification whenever we upload a new video. Yes, turn on your notification bell and do well to share this video to someone, to a lady who you feel needs to hear this or who you know needs to be here. Till then, remain intentional. Bye.